It's Dan and Monica live in the studio today. We've got Chris on assignment reporting in, and then we've got Dr. Al as well with the new headset, prepared to discuss about Moderna, all things Moderna. And what's the headline, Dr. Al, that you were just reading me? What's the headline?
I was reading for you from the news that Moderna that they will not seek the approval of their COVID-19 uh, vaccine till after the U.S. election.
Okay, interested. Do they say why?
Ah, most probably it have to do with the money. Somehow have to do with the money.
Yep.
I don't know. It's
Mod-
always with these
Moderna,
big drug companies, everything have to do with the money.
yeah, Moderna Chief. Let me see which one. I'm gonna share my desktop too.
I would agree. It's absolutely to do with the money. And again, I believe this is political. It's most likely because a lot of those on the left who are voting for Biden have said, it's been in the media relatively frequently, that they will not take a vaccination that's under Trump's watch. So, thus, money, right?
See? I didn't know that, but I think like whenever to have to do with something like this, have to do with the money.
Yep.
Moderna Chief says vaccine not ready before U.S. election. So this came out October 1st. So they're saying it's not ready, and cautious timeline details blow to Trump's hope of November immunization start. Let's look at the stock. The stock in the last 1 month, pretty stable. Went to 77. Now it's back to 63. Let's see, in 6 months, we're from. Oh, let's try year to date. So from 68. Wait, what is this? From $17?
Yep.
So Dr. Al, you got in around this time?
Let's not talk about this.
Okay. Dr. Al
let's
may or may
let's
not.
let's watch the Yahoo Finance, and it went up to 90 something, and then it dropped to 60, and then now it is like around 68.
Yeah. Let's look at the Yahoo Finance. So Dr. Al doesn't own it. Maybe we don't know
No,
anything.
I don't own any stocks in
Okay.
Moderna now.
So this hasn't impacted the stock. Then this
No.
this is a big company. We're looking on clinicaltrials.gov. Oh, let's do uh, not yet recruiting and recruiting. Not waiting for net just for. It's not like just COVID is gonna move their stock. Look, they have ovarian cancer, melanoma, solid tumors, cytomegalovirus, respiratory SARS. Here's the SARS, human parainfluenza, prevention of virus, dose
Chikungunya.
escalation. Yeah, look at all these things. Triple negative breast cancer. So, Dr. Al, obviously you were familiar with Moderna before COVID, but like, what can you tell us about the company?
It's a very solid company, very good. Have very good product line in regard of cancer patient general. I think that the thing that's unique about their vaccine for COVID-19, it is an messenger RNA, or as they call it mRNA, that go and attach to the DNA and try to uh, do the job there through the mRNA. Go back to the stock chart. This is where you see drop in the stock for the Moderna. Go to Yahoo. Back in here, uh, no,
May
June.
27th, June?
Yeah. Okay, see the drop here. It's because of the result of the phase one slash
Oh,
two,
yeah.
because there was some side effect, and also they get sued because of the early release of the results. And then this followed by phase two result, which showed that it is very good, effective result for the patient, and they had immune response in almost about 80 to 100% of the patient. That's why they've been doing good. But still, like, we don't have phase three study, and that's why the company has been stagnant regarding COVID-19.
Yeah, here in July 17th, you can see a high of 94.85. looks like, and then it dropped by September 9th to 54. So it must have been somewhere around here that news came out.
Yep.
Okay, so this was probably the optimism of the vaccine around July 17th. Now, with the vaccine, so let's look at their COVID vaccine study.
For now, we know that Moderna, they are the most ahead in getting the vaccine and doing the vaccine and the result of the vaccination for the patient. But other companies are still like in earlier phases than Moderna.
Do you think Moderna is going to be the first one with a vaccine or ready FDA-approved vaccine?
For now, that's what it seems.
Okay.
So I would just like to add my 2 cents. That's why I'm here, I assume. So I remember watching a show. I take this with a grain of salt. And they were talking about vaccinations and hurriedly bringing vaccinations to market. This was back in the 70s. The United States government was concerned about, I don't remember, some flu or something, and having a repeat of the 1918 Spanish flu.
Mhm.
And so they hurriedly brought it to market like in 6 months, and it wound up killing some people. So again, I think it's ridiculous to be too concerned about vaccines. However, in cases where it's hurriedly processed and brought to market, I think there's a concern there.
Yeah, and that's what critics of Trump are getting at too. You know, it's like they feel like he's trying to rush it just so for political gain.
Right.
And
Which,
the science has become politicized too. It's like the Democrats somehow became the party for science, and then the Republicans are like the anti-maskers, supposedly. So, you know, none of that is probably true when you ask normal people on either side. But yeah, I think that's a good point, Chris. Like people, normal people, you know, which I consider all four of us to be, even though we don't appear that way sometimes. We're
Thanks.
normal. Trust us, guys. We're normal. We're normal. But yeah, I think they need to like fall somewhere in between both of these extremes.
So, again, in my opinion, I think there's reasons to hurriedly bring something to market now, just because this is devastating what's currently going on to the economic situation of the country. So, I mean, there's pros and cons, right? That being said, I won't be one of the first people taking it if this doesn't go through the regimen testing that it
Oh
should.
yeah, I'm not taking I don't want to be one of the first monkeys in space.
If it took 18 months, which is standard for developing a vaccine, if it had taken 18 months, I probably wouldn't be too hesitant on taking it. But being that this has only been going on for now since what, February, March?
Uh-huh.
Right. That's not long enough. 7 months and you already have a vaccine. No, I'm out.
But Trump said it's Operation Warp Speed.
Sure, and I get that, but again,
like Star Trek, Warp
they
Speed.
said the developmental time to go through all the proper testing is 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's very high probability something's going to go wrong here.
I've always felt that the best solution to this would be better treatments, which is
Me too.
the monoclonal antibody looks promising. It's just a scaling issue and a cost issue. How do we get this built at scale so that if people that do get sick and they're in the hospital, you know, we can cure them, right? Like, and then you're not going to stop people from getting infected, but at least if you have the treatments built at scale, the same thing Donald Trump got, you can give to everybody who gets sick that goes in the hospital, even though 15% of people develop some kind of shock. I mean, I don't know, they got to fix that part, or at least they're in the hospital to where maybe there's a risk-reward ratio there. That's more for Dr. Al. I'm not a doctor.
But also the antibodies it didn't go through phase 3 trial yet.
Right.
So we don't know the exact effectiveness of it comparing to the for the people who get it and the people who does not get it. That's why they do the phase 3 trial to compare the effectiveness of medication and how it will and the side effect comparing to the people who doesn't get it or the people who get it in different doses. And we have like a couple of patients that maybe respond to it and for one reason or the other, but we don't know about the phase 3. So as I said, like unless any vaccine goes through phase 3 and come the result out for the effectiveness and for the side effect and everything, I don't think any physician should recommend any for his patient.
So this is the one study. Let's look at this one study, but a study to evaluate efficacy, safety, immunogenicity of mRNA. This is the one you were talking about, right? 1273 vaccine. This is the one that's. This is the main one that's. Looks like it's gonna end. Yeah, it is phase 3. This is a phase 3 vaccine. 30,000 participants. Quadruple blind.
Exactly.
And estimated completion date on clinicaltrials.gov. Estimated completion date. This is not going to be good for anyone to hear. October 2022. Estimate completion date. But the FDA is probably allowing them because it's warp speed, right? The FDA is probably going to allow after a certain amount of data, so this is assuming 30,000 participants finish by October 2022. But
Dan, go back and look at the start date. It's July 2020.
Yeah,
so it's 2 years. It's 2 years for a study. Never happened.
Yeah. 2 years for the study. So it started, July 27, 2020, estimated to complete 2022. Now, since this is phase 3, the FDA is probably going to accept, because it's emergency, right? It's a pandemic. They're going to look at the data, and if it looks good, they're not going to wait for it to finish. They're going to approve it beforehand, but then they're still going to do the actual study, right? They're going to complete the study. So let's see if their actual
what do you think would be the timeline? And this is just shooting in the dark, but what do you think the timeline would be for that data lock and deciphering whether or not it's successful?
Well,
halfway.
Their chief says vaccine not ready before election. So the CEO of Moderna, he said this just a few weeks ago.
Oh, that was for Moderna. What you were showing?
Yeah, the CEO.
2022.
Yeah,
okay.
he dealt a blow to U.S. President Donald Trump's hopes. He told the Financial Times would not be ready to seek emergency use authorization from the FDA before November 25th at the earliest. So that's probably answering your question right there. Around that time is when they're planning to do the first database lock. Or maybe it's not the first database. I'm sure it is the first database lock because it only started in July, right?
Right.
And he added that he did not expect full approval to distribute the drug to all sections of the population until next spring. Probably to distribute it to all sections of the population is spring of 2021.
Yeah, this is what they wrote here. April and June of 21.
Yeah. So, and this is the leading candidate, right? So,
for now.
Yeah. And when did this originate in development? Do you know? Was
July.
It like March?
There's pros and cons to being first, obviously. The only other COVID one I see is this one, which is active not recruiting. So maybe this is the one that ended. First posted May 2020, and it ended. So it started May 2020.
That was phase 2.
Yeah, phase 2 estimated completed in 2021. They started in May, and the patients are still going on. The last patient in is supposed to be August, but enrollment's closed. So it's just all 600 patients. Either some of them withdrew, or there's still many of them left, and they won't finish until August, the last ones. But they reached their number of 600.
That doesn't make a lot of sense for a phase 2 trial, because usually they're 3 months at most.
Right, but this is different because it's Operation Warp Speed.
No, I understand that, Dan, but if, say, they enrolled today and it's 3 months long, that's long before August.
Yeah, this one, we can see. Let's see. Let's see what it's looking like. Primary outcome, 7 days post-vaccine. So they're looking at SAEs from month 0 through month 13.
Oh, okay, so it's 13 months long.
And then 1 year after the final dose. So they're looking at long-term on this phase 2 also. So that's why it's not enrolling. But obviously the data was good enough for the FDA to approve that phase 3, which just started in July. So it looks like this is the leading candidate for a vaccine. But the stock, that's probably already factored into the stock price. So
Moderna, the one
it's probably already factored in, but maybe you can speculate if it gets approved and it gets approved first, maybe 68 is a good price to get in because we've already seen it go in July
94.
to 90 something, right? So if you've got, if you want to gamble a little bit, what do you know about this candidate, this vaccine candidate, Dr. L?
mRNA.
Yeah. So what do you think about this particular one?
It's supposed to be very effective according to what the phase 1 study showing. It's
Okay.
producing a lot of immunogenicity against the virus, and it's been helping the population. But as I told you, I will not recommend it or say anything until I will see about the phase 3 trial.
Yeah, we're not financial
So,
advisors, God forbid. But I
so I
personally, I'd be willing to take a gamble on this. I mean, you're gambling, but I'd be willing to take a gamble if I see this already, 94. So that shows me enthusiasm. This probably shows that the phase 2 was good and the phase 3 is going to start. I bet you this is what this is. This spike. Phase 2 is
the
up.
July is price point isn't that where the phase 3 started?
That's what
in
I'm
July?
saying. That's
That's
what I think.
exactly
Where
where it
the phase
started.
2, the
Mhm.
FDA said this is good to go to phase 3. So that's where
Right.
it spiked.
Right.
I think this is where the AstraZeneca and J&J were having issues. So Moderna got thrown into that as well. And then, so maybe it's a good time to get in. I might go buy some on Robinhood tomorrow.
Well,